Hello everybody, myself Nalnikant Jana, Senior Lecturer in Physics, Bharuneswar Mahavidyalaya, Utkal University. Today's topic is motion in a non-inertial frame of reference. Already we have discussed about inertial and non-inertial frames. Now we will start the motion in non-inertial frame of reference. I am giving a brief idea regarding the inertial and non-inertial frames. What is a frame of reference? It is the coordinate system whose origin is taken as the reference point, and the frame of reference is of two types. The number one is the inertial frame of reference and the number two is the non-inertial frame of reference. What is inertial frame of reference? It is the frame of reference whose acceleration is zero. That is, the frame of reference is either at rest or moves uniformly. And in case of a non-inertial frame, we can say that it is the frame of reference whose acceleration is not zero. That means a non-inertial frame is the frame of reference whose acceleration is not zero. That is, it is an accelerated frame of reference. So, a body possesses acceleration when it is either in non-uniform linear motion or in rotational motion. That is why a non-inertial frame deals with the motion of bodies in non-uniform linear motion or in rotational motion. Whereas its counterpart, which is the inertial frame of reference, deals with the motion of bodies when it is in uniform linear motion. So, now we have to have an idea regarding the motion in non-inertial frame of reference. To do this, what we have to do? Let us consider a body moving with respect to two inertial frames. Let us consider a body moving with respect to two frames of references, out of which one frame is the inertial frame and the other frame is the non-inertial frame. Let us consider a body in motion with respect to two frames of reference. Such as one is inertial frame and the second one is non-inertial frame. Let us consider a body, let P is the position of the body, in motion with respect to two frames of references. In the figure, we have shown here two frames of references, S frame and S dash frame, out of which S frame is the inertial frame and S dash frame is the non-inertial frame. That means S dash frame possesses an acceleration a0 with respect to the S frame. So, here let us consider two frames of references. In the figure, P is equal to position of the particle in motion. S is equal to inertial frame of reference. S dash is equal to non-inertial frame of reference. M is equal to mass of the particle at P. R with subscript I is the position vector of P with respect to S frame, that is inertial frame. Ri, that is the position vector of the point P with respect to S frame, that means inertial frame. And Rn is equal to position vector of P with respect to S dash frame, which is non-inertial frame. A0 is equal to acceleration of S dash frame with respect to S frame. These are the descriptions of both the frames of the particle in motion. Now, if no external force is applied on the particle, no external force is applied on the particle, then in that case, with respect to S frame, the particle will exert or experience no force. That means, with respect to S frame, the particle will experience zero force because no external force is applied. But simultaneously, the particle will experience a force with respect to the S dash frame. Now, when no external force is applied, then number 1, the particle will experience no force or zero force with respect to the inertial frame. Whereas number 2, the particle will experience a force with respect to the non-inertial frame. As a result, the particle will experience an acceleration minus a0. So, the force acting on the particle P with respect to S dash frame will be, so the force will be equal to minus m a 0. This force acts on the particle P with respect to the non-inertial frame S dash, and simultaneously this particle experiences no force with respect to S dash frame or inertial frame, as no external force is applied. Hence, this force F0 can be treated as the pseudo force or the imaginary force or the fictitious force acting on the particle due to the non-inertial frame. When we have considered these two frames, then at time t is equal to 0, that means when the motion starts, then are the origins of both the frames coincide. As soon as the motion continues, the S dash frame moves apart from that of the S frame, and hence we can write the position vector of the particle with respect to the S frame or the inertial frame as Ri vector, and with respect to the non-inertial frame or the S dash frame as Rn vector. And applying the laws of a vector addition, we can write Ri vector is equal to Rn vector plus half a t square. Okay? To have this, let us write the origin of both the frames coincide at t is equal to 0. Now, the origins of both the frames coincide at t is equal to 0, and at time t, the position vectors of the particle, the position vectors of the particle Ri vector and Rn vector can be expressed as Ri vector is equal to Rn vector plus half a t t square. Let this as equation 1. Now, differentiating this equation with respect to time twice, we can write differentiating this equation twice with respect to time, we can write d square Ri by dt square is equal to d square Rn by dt square plus A0, which implies the double derivative of the position vector Ri with respect to time is nothing but the acceleration of the particle with respect to the inertial frame, and similarly the double derivative of the position vector Rn with respect to time is nothing but the acceleration of the particle with respect to the non-inertial frame, that is S dash frame. So, this equation can be expressed as AI is equal to AN plus A0, where AI represents the acceleration of the particle with respect to the inertial frame, that is S frame. AN is the acceleration of the particle with respect to S dash frame, that is the non-inertial frame, and A0 is the pseudo acceleration which acts on the particle due to the non-inertial frame. Now, multiplying m, that is mass of the particle, on both the sides of this equation, we can write m AI0 is equal to m ANJN plus m A0, implies this is Fi, which is the force acting on the particle P due to the inertial frame, is equal to this is Fn, where Fn is the force acting on the particle due to the non-inertial frame, and F0. This can be written as MAI minus MA0 is equal to MAN, which implies MAI is Fi plus F0, which is equal to Fn, where F0 is nothing but minus MA0, which is the pseudo force, implies Fn is equal to Fi plus F0, where F0 is equal to minus MA0 is equal to pseudo force acting on the particle. Thus, the total force observed on the particle due to the non-inertial frame is equal to the sum of the forces due to the inertial frame and the fictitious force or the pseudo force. Thus, the total force which acts on the particle due to the non-inertial frame is equal to the sum of the force due to the inertial frame and the pseudo force. Let us take the example of a non-inertial frame and let us calculate the net force acting on that body which is in a non-inertial frame in different situations. Let us take the practical example of a body in motion in a non-inertial frame. The motion of a man inside an elevator or lift is the example of motion in a non-inertial frame. So, let us take the different situations of the man inside a lift moving in a building. The probable cases are when the lift moves uniformly, then what happens to the total force acting on the man, and if the lift moves with an acceleration towards the upward direction, then what should be the net force acting on the man due to this non-inertial frame. Similarly, when the body moves downward with an acceleration inside the lift or elevator, then what force acts on the man due to this non-inertial frame? And finally, if the lift falls freely, then what happens to the man inside it, and what should be the net force acting on the man inside that lift or elevator? Let us discuss all these cases one by one. The motion of a man inside an elevator or lift can be taken as the practical example of motion in non-inertial frame. The probable cases are: number 1, when the lift moves uniformly, number 2, when the lift accelerates upward. Number 3, when the lift accelerates downward. And finally, when the lift falls freely. These are the probable cases of the different types of motion of a man inside a lift moving upward, downward with acceleration or falls freely. Let us discuss these probable cases one by one, and let us calculate the net force acting on the man inside this lift. Let us discuss these probable cases one by one. The number 1 point is when the lift moves uniformly, there is no force acting on the body and the net force acting on the body is due to its weight. That is, when a lift moves uniformly with respect to earth, either along the upward direction or along the downward direction, then no external force acts on it. When the lift moves uniformly, then no external force acts on it. Hence, the net force which acts on the body, is the weight of the body. That is, Fi is equal to mg, where m is the mass of the body, and this weight acts along the direction of acceleration due to gravity, which is along the downward direction. Now, let us consider the second case, when the body inside the lift moves with acceleration along the upward direction. Number 2 case, when the lift moves upward with acceleration then pseudo-force is equal to F0 is equal to plus ma0, because here acceleration due to gravity is along the vertical downward direction and the acceleration is along the upward direction. So, the pseudo force acting on the body will be equal to F0, which is equal to negative of negative ma0, that is minus minus, which is plus ma0, and inertial force is equal to Fi, which is equal to mg. So non-inertial force is equal to Fn, which we have already found that Fn is equal to the sum of Fi and F0, which is equal to Fi plus F0, which is equal to mg plus ma0, and it can be written as m taking common g plus a0, which can be written as mg dash, where g dash is equal to g plus a0 is the apparent acceleration due to gravity, and hence the non-inertial force is nothing but the apparent weight. So, when the body or man inside the lift moves with acceleration along the upward direction, vertically upward direction, then the non-inertial force acting on the man is nothing but equal to apparent weight of the man, and which is more than the actual weight of the man. That is why we can conclude that when a man moves with an acceleration along the vertical upward direction in a lift, then its weight will increase. That means it is greater than W, which is the actual weight of the body. So, when the body accelerates vertically upward inside a lift, then he will feel that its weight is increasing. Then the number 3 case, when the lift moves, hence when, let us take the third case into consideration, that means when the lift moves downward with acceleration, then the acceleration due to gravity is along the vertical downward direction. Again, the acceleration of the body is along the downward direction. So, the pseudo force F0 will be equal to minus ma0, and the inertial force is equal to Fi, which is equal to mg. So, the non-inertial force is equal to Fn, which is equal to the sum of the inertial force and the pseudo force, can be written as mg minus ma0, and taking m as common, we can write this as g minus a0, implies this can be written as mg dash, where g dash is equal to g minus a is the relative acceleration due to gravity or apparent acceleration due to gravity. So, the weight becomes double dash, which is mg dash, as g dash is g minus a, which is less than g. That is why mg dash is double dash less than w, the true weight of the body. That is why when a man inside a lift accelerates downward with certain acceleration, then its non-inertial force will be equal to its apparent weight, which is found to be less than its true weight. That is why we can conclude that in case of a man moving downward inside a lift with acceleration, its weight will appear to be decreased. And let us take the help of the fourth case, that means if the lift falls freely under gravity, then in that case, when the lift falls freely. Let us take the fourth case, that is when the lift falls freely, then its acceleration will be equal to the acceleration due to gravity. So, the pseudo force acting on the man inside the lift will be equal to F0, which is equal to minus ma0, which is equal to minus mg, because your a0 is equal to g in case of freely falling body, and the inertial force is Fi and it is mg obviously. So, the non-inertial force Fn, which is the sum of the inertial force and the pseudo force, can be written as mg minus mg, which is equal to m into g minus g, which is equal to 0. That is, the apparent weight of a body which is falling freely is equal to 0. That means, when the body falls freely under gravity, that means the man falls freely under gravity inside the lift, then in that case the non-inertial force is 0. That means, the apparent weight of a body is 0. With these discussions, we came to the conclusion that when a body moves with respect to a non-inertial frame, it absorbs an additional force or the pseudo force along with the force due to the inertial frame. That means, the force acting on a body in a non-inertial frame is the sum of the forces acting on the body due to the inertial frame and due to the pseudo force acting on the body due to the non-inertial frame. That is, Fn is equal to Fi plus F0. And taking into consideration this equation, in case of a man inside a lift, we will calculate that if the lift moves with uniform velocity along the upward direction or along the downward direction, in both the cases there will be no pseudo force, and the only force acting on the body is due to the inertial frame, which is nothing but the weight of the man. But when the lift moves with a certain acceleration along the vertical upward direction, in that case the net force acting on the body due to the inertial frame will be the sum of the inertial force, that is the weight of the body, and the pseudo force, which is nothing but F0, which is equal to ma0. And now in this case, when the lift accelerates upward, its weight appears to be increased, and when the lift accelerates downward, then it is observed that its weight appears to be decreased. And similarly, when the body falls freely, that means the man inside the lift falls freely under the gravity, then its apparent weight will be 0. That means the net force on the man due to the non-inertial frame will be 0. Our next topic is centrifugal force. Now, let us discuss the case of centrifugal force. Then what is centrifugal force? It is a viscous force acting on a body in rotation. As we have already discussed that when a body is in rotation, then it is the case of non-inertial frame. So, as the body moves with non-uniform rotational motion, in addition to its existing force, a fictitious force or a pseudo force will act on the body, and that pseudo force is nothing but the centrifugal force. Since centripetal force keeps the body or responsible for the uniform rotational motion of a body, then centrifugal force comes into picture when the body moves in non-uniform circular motion. That's why centrifugal force is the imaginary force which acts on a body in a non-uniform circular motion or rotational motion. And it is seen that the centrifugal force is equal in magnitude and opposite in direction to that of the centripetal force. As earlier we have discussed that the expression for centripetal force is mv square, hence the expression for centrifugal force will also be mv square with opposite direction. So, let us write what is about the centrifugal force. As I have already told you that what is centrifugal force? It is the fictitious force or pseudo force which acts on a body in non-uniform rotational motion. And the case of non-uniform rotational motion is nothing but a non-inertial frame. So, we can also say that centrifugal force is the imaginary force or pseudo force which acts on a body when a body in non-inertial frame of rotation. Now, the magnitude of centrifugal force is same as the magnitude of centripetal force. That is centrifugal force is equal to mv square by r, which is equal to m omega square r. And number 2, the direction of centrifugal force. The direction of centrifugal force is opposite to the direction of centripetal force. Since the direction of centripetal force is along the radius towards the center, hence the direction of centrifugal force is along the radius away from the center, and it always acts along the opposite direction of centripetal force, and the centrifugal force is a fixed force. It never comes into picture when the body moves in uniform circular motion, but when it moves in a non-uniform circular motion, then the case of a non-inertial frame arises and the existence of a pseudo force, which is the centrifugal force, comes into picture. And this centrifugal force is applied in various physical cases, such as in case of dryers in washing machines. This centrifugal force is applied. As a result, the drying clothes are attached with the walls of the dryer, whereas the water particles, which are heavier, they go to the center and drainage out. And in case of cream separation from milk, the lighter content of the nucleus, in case of cream separation from milk, the cream is the lighter particle and the water content, that is the curd associated with that milk, is the heavier content, and the lighter particles come closer and coagulate, and we get it from the centrifuge machine. These are the practical examples of centrifugal force. That means a centrifuge acts on the basis of centrifugal force. Your dryer in washing machine acts on the principle of centrifugal force. And here we finish the concept of the motion of a body in non-inertial frame, and the example we have given that a man inside a lift is in a non-inertial frame, and we have discussed the different probable cases and what happens to its weight when the man is moving inside the lift, and also we have discussed the concept of centrifugal force, which comes into picture only when there is non-inertial frame. And hereby I finish this topic of non-inertial frame. Many thanks.